In 5 years, you will look back. It does not matter where you are. It does not matter what you have achieved externally. That moment of reflection will arrive, and there are only two possible thoughts, two very different feelings, two internal narratives that define everything. No middle ground. Either you will say, in silence, I truly changed my life, and you will feel it in your body, in the way you think, react, and choose. Or you will feel that tightness in your chest and think, I am still exactly in the same place, the same anxiety, the same excuses, the same unfulfilled promises. It is not dramatic. It is not exaggeration. It is just honest. It is the kind of truth that no one likes to face too early. And the most uncomfortable part of all this is that this difference is not born from a big event. It is not born from a spectacular turnaround. It is not born from an epic moment that changes everything. It is not born from a rare opportunity. It is not born from luck. It is not born from extraordinary talent, nor from a video that promises instant transformation. It is born from a small choice, repeated, silent, almost invisible to the eyes of those who live on autopilot. A choice that you make every day, usually even before thinking properly, before even remembering who you want to be, before even consciously deciding anything. That choice seems so simple that most people ignore it. It does not seem important. It does not seem urgent. It does not seem decisive. But it silently decides who you will be. It decides your clarity. It decides your discipline. It decides your relationship with yourself. Because every time you make it, you are deciding where your life is going, even if you do not realize it. Even if you think that it is nothing. Most people do not realize this. They wake up, react, and go through the day on autopilot. They follow the flow. They respond to demands. They consume what appears. And they call this routine. But what they are really doing is outsourcing their own future, handing over their best hours, handing over their cleanest mental energy. There is a specific moment of the day when your mind is more open, more clean, more moldable. A moment when you have not yet been pulled by the demands of the world. You have not yet been fragmented by external expectations. A moment when you are still you, before the roles, before the pressures, before the comparisons. That moment does not last long. It is brief, it is fragile, and it passes quickly. And when it passes, it does not come back. Not that day, not with the same mental quality. That is where everything begins, or should begin. But almost no one notices. Almost no one protects that space. Not because you woke up early, but because you woke up conscious, present, intentional, without haste. The problem is not the time. It never was. This discussion has always been superficial. It has always diverted from the real point. The problem is what you do with the first mental state of your day, with the first energy that arises, with the first available focus, with the first possible direction. When you wake up, your mind is not yet saturated. It is not in defense mode. It is not trying to survive. It is still neutral. It is open. Open to direction. Open to meaning. Open to construction. Open to intention. Open to identity. Open to conscious choice. And what you place there repeats itself, expands, turns into a pattern. If you start the day being pulled, dragged, distracted, if you hand that moment over to infinite scrolling, to the news, to silent comparisons, if you hand your mind over to external chaos, you teach your brain to live reacting, always chasing, always emotionally late. You do not lose only time. You lose clarity. And clarity is the foundation of any real direction. And a life without clarity is a life that goes in circles, tiring, frustrating, full of effort without progress. The people you admire are not special. They were not born ready. They do not always wake up motivated. They are not more disciplined by nature. They fail. They get tired. They also feel resistance. They do not have mystical willpower. They do not have superpowers. They do not live in a constant state of inspiration. They just learned one thing early. The mind needs direction before being demanded, before being pressured, before being charged. They do not start the day reacting. They start the day choosing. Even if the choice is simple, even if it is silent, and that choice does not need to be extreme. It does not need to be rigid. It does not need to be violent. It does not need to be heroic. It needs to be sustainable, repeatable, gentle, possible on ordinary days. Because discipline that hurts does not last. It breaks. It generates rejection. It creates guilt. But gentle discipline that builds, little by little, without noise. You do not need to love the morning. You do not need to wake up excited. You do not need to like the process. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to have total clarity. You only need to be willing. You only need to understand one thing. If you do not choose how you start your day, the world chooses for you, and it chooses quickly. And the world never chooses what is best for your peace. It chooses urgency. It chooses noise. It chooses comparison. There is a silent advantage in reclaiming the first hour of your day, an advantage that no one sees, but everyone feels in the long run. Not to produce frenetically, not to prove yourself, not to chase validation, but to align with you, with your values, with your internal direction. That first hour is a neutral territory, without interruptions, without characters, without external expectations. It is there that you can decide who you are going to be before needing to act, before responding, before adapting. And when you do this, something changes in a subtle way, but deep. Your mind enters a deeper state of focus. Your nervous system slows down. Your body is not on maximum alert. You think better. You choose better. You react less. It is as if your mind were in fresh cement, still moldable, still open, still flexible. What you imprint there solidifies throughout the day, and then the week, and then the month. If you start by consuming distraction, you train distraction. You reinforce fragmentation. You weaken presence. If you start with presence, you train stability. And stability sustains everything. And stability is what sustains real growth. Without anxiety, without exhaustion. Now, let's simplify. Without formulas, without unrealistic promises, without unnecessary complexity. It is not about creating a perfect routine, nor a sophisticated ritual, nor an ideal system. It is about minimal, consistent intention. Small, possible, repeatable. First, water. Nothing symbolic, nothing spiritualized, nothing complicated. Your body wakes up dehydrated. Your brain too. This affects focus, mood, and clarity. Drinking water is a simple signal to the body. We are starting. We are present. We are taking care. Then, light movement. Not for performance. Not for aesthetics. Not for comparison. To wake up the nervous system. To signal safety. To inhabit the body. It can be stretching. It can be walking. It can be breathing deeply. Do not complicate. Do not negotiate too much. Just do it. After that comes the most important part, the most neglected, the most powerful, choosing a single direction for the day. One focus. One clear intention. Something realistic. Not a list. Not a grand plan. Not an empty promise. One thing. Just one. But done with presence. When you choose a single point of advance, you reduce mental noise. You reduce anxiety. You increase clarity. And the mind loves simplicity. It works better that way. Lighter, more focused. Then, light learning. A few pages, one idea, one reflection. Not to consume information, but to nourish perspective, to adjust the lens, to expand awareness, and then protection. This space is yours. Do not negotiate it. Do not relativize it. Do not bring the world into it. Do not open unnecessary portals. Do not invite chaos, because this moment is not about productivity. It never was. It is about identity. Every time you start the day with intention, even without desire, even with sleepiness, even in silence, you send a message to yourself. I can trust myself. I show up. I respect myself. And internal trust is the foundation of any real change. Without it, nothing sustains. Nothing remains. You do not build a new life with big promises. You build it with coherence. You build it with small, repeated decisions every day, without an audience. 1 hour a day does not seem like much. It almost seems irrelevant. It almost seems like little effort. But one consistent hour accumulated over the course of a year reorganizes your mind, reorganizes your identity, and over the course of 5 years, it redefines who you are, how you think, how you react. Not because you did something extraordinary, but because you stopped abandoning yourself, stopped postponing yourself, stopped ignoring yourself. Time will pass anyway, with you or without you, attentive or distracted, present or absent. In 5 years, you will be somewhere, internally and externally. That is inevitable. The only question is, will you recognize the person who will be there? Will you feel silent pride or quiet regret? Or will you realize that you spent years waiting to feel ready to live your own life? Waiting for the perfect moment. This choice does not shout. It does not call attention. It does not appear in the feed. It happens in silence. Every day, right when you wake up. And maybe today is a good day to choose differently, without radicalism, without internal violence, not out of ambition, but out of respect for yourself, out of care, out of emotional maturity. If this video made sense to you, consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. Here, we do not rush, we build. Here, we do not seek haste, we seek clarity. We seek stability. We seek awareness. And if you want to continue this reflection, there is another video waiting for you now. At the same pace, in the same direction. Take care of your mind. It is the place where everything begins.